This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Well, hey there and happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode 34 of She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts, and thank you so much for joining me. I am really excited about today's episode. I think I say that all the time, but it's true. Every week it's true. I absolutely love my guests, but today I am so thrilled to actually do a different style of interview. It's sort of going to be like a view style roundup with Ginny Krauss and Kristin Kaplan, who together run the Wedding Business Bosses Facebook group that I have definitely mentioned on the show before, and they also run the Wedding Business Academy, which happens to be the sponsor for February and March of our show. I'm so excited to have these two here, and this is a really neat episode where they basically just pour into us and answer every single question that we gathered from other wedding professionals in the Facebook group. It is really neat. So we just do a kind of a round robin Q&A. I gathered all of these questions from the Wedding Business Bosses directly from other wedding professionals, and Ginny and Kristin kind of just play back and forth and really take us through their answers, and they are just brilliant. So today's going to be a really fun episode. We don't have a specific topic. We're really running the gamut of any questions that we asked. We did not leave anything out. So let me tell you a little bit about Kristin and Ginny before we get started here. Kristin is a wedding planner for over 9 years. She is an entrepreneur, a wife, a mother of 3, and she is happily settled in Nashville, Tennessee, aka Music City, and she loves it. Kristin is very passionate about teaching, motivating, and coaching other creative entrepreneurs, and she wants them to live a life on purpose by building a solid business foundation and charging what they are worth. You are absolutely going to get that sense when you hear Kristin answer her questions. She is very, business foundation. She recently came out with her pricing workbook. If you haven't taken a peek at that yet, go find it at kristinkaplan.com. She has, like I said, been doing this for almost a decade, you guys, and she is very big on all of us charging what we're worth and getting paid what we're worth. So absolutely love that. I am so pleased to welcome back Ginny Krauss, who is my very first returning guest to the show. And well, I guess she's not my first returning guest, but I'm so pleased to have her back. She is just absolutely wonderful. She has been just a complete light to me, and I'm so pleased to, just kind of be in her sphere of influence. Ginny is a brand and social marketing strategist for creative entrepreneurs in the wedding industry. She helps develop a brand and marketing strategy that will embody your heart so that your clients fall in love with you and see you as the answer to their problems. Together, Ginny really jumps into businesses to craft plans that are filled with the beauty of who you are so that you really can have confidence to bring your gifts to the world. Absolutely love Ginny. I know I have talked about her on the podcast a lot, but I just can't say enough about her. So I know you'll be really pleased to hear from both of these ladies. They are just absolutely brilliant, and this is a super fun episode. Before we get to the show, I want to actually thank Kristin and Ginny for sponsoring the show in January and February via the Wedding Business Academy. Enrollment for the Wedding Business Academy is right around the corner, you guys, and we are just so excited to bring it to you. The Wedding Business Academy is a 6-month group coaching program. We get into it just a little bit in this episode, but I have something special for you later on next month. But it is a 6-month group coaching program, and it is a place where you can go if you need to find a community of other women who are moving forward in their businesses in 2017, who want to reach huge goals, who want to charge what they're worth, who want to boost their revenue, who want to have a system in place for their business, whatever that may be. If that sounds even a little bit like you, I would highly encourage you to go to the Wedding Business Bosses Facebook group to check out more and join us. Ask any questions because I know Kristin and Ginny would answer them. Or even better, head to theweddingbusinessacademy.com and you can sign up for their email list and be notified when they go live. Seats are limited and it is an application process. Super excited for that program. Without further ado, let's get to the show. Ginny Krauss and Kristin Kaplan, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you so much for doing this and for being on the show. Ginny, you are a returning guest, which I'm so thrilled about. Kristin, you are a first-time guest, and I just could not be more honored to have both of you on.
We are
Awesome.
so
Thank
excited
you.
to be here. Yay! I know, I'm so excited. This is the first time I've been with you, Kinsey, and I can't wait.
I know, hearing your voice makes it all real. Well, today I gave everybody your professional bios at the beginning of the show. I also let them know that today we are doing a Q&A, a roundtable, kind of the View style show. We took these questions from your Facebook group called the Wedding Business Bosses. If you are not in that group and you're listening, please come join us. It is so much fun. Ginny and Kristin host that group, and we just have a blast in there. We learn every single day, and we're just a group of ladies in the wedding industry. We'd love to have you with us. But I would love for each of you, and Ginny, why don't you go first to just briefly tell us who you are and how you serve the wedding industry, and then from your perspective, how you got together with each other. Ginny, why don't you go first? Just briefly tell us who you are in your own words, and from your perspective, how you got hooked up with Kristin.
Thank you so much. So I am Ginny Krauss, for those of you that don't know me. I am a brand and social marketing strategist for wedding industry creatives, and Kristin and I own Wedding Business Bosses, and it's a Facebook group, and it's going to be so much more. We can tell you about that a little bit later. And we also have the Wedding Business Academy, and together we love to help educate the wedding industry, and that's really what our passion is when we work together.
And Kristin, tell us more about how you serve the wedding industry and your take on your partnership with Ginny.
Well, so I first began as a wedding planner in the wedding industry, and I've been doing that now for about 9 years. And recently, in the past several years, I started taking on more of a consulting and coaching role with first other wedding planners, and then it kind of expanded from there to other wedding professionals and creative professionals as a whole. So I now operate as a business and specifically pricing and profit strategist to creative entrepreneurs, and more specifically to wedding industry professionals. And like Ginny said, we have teamed up in the last year. We have a lot of shared interests and shared goals around educating the wedding industry on specifically the business side of what they do. And with that, we've launched the Wedding Business Bosses and the Wedding Business Academy. So it's a lot of fun.
I wonder, Kristin and Ginny, I know that you met in the Savvy Business Circle. I am interested to know, how did you guys, I kind of know a little bit of the background, but how did you come together and say, hey, let's put this together to really form like an educational platform for wedding professionals? How did that conversation even start?
I'm going to let Ginny take this one because I think she tells the story better. So
I love to tell our love story. So, the love story between Kristin and I began. It was actually before Savvy Circle. I initially saw Kristin on Periscope, and for any of you that were on Periscope, Kristin was pretty big on that platform. And she really just dropped a lot of educational knowledge bombs for the wedding industry. And I loved how she didn't sugarcoat things, and she was really straightforward, which is how I am. And something that my clients always love working one-on-one with me is they love that I like to keep it real. That's just who I am. So when I saw her doing the same thing, targeting the same market, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my girl. She's my kind of people. I have to reach out to her. So I think I casually just connected with her, and we started having coffee chats. And I was a new mom, and I had a little one at the time. So I wasn't really even out trying to make coffee chats happen. So I feel like it's a bit of like divine intervention as well. Like it was just like willed into our universe somehow. Mm-hmm. And so we started coffee chatting and realized that we really had the same target market. We had the same goal, our same passion to educate the wedding industry, but we were offering different things. I was really focusing on brand and social media strategy. She was really focusing on pricing and business planning strategy. So together we really offered a lot to the same clients. And she started when she was referring people over to me. She was doing one-on-one pricing strategy with clients, and then she would send them over to me for their branding projects, which was really great. And then she came to me and asked me, Kristin was going to make a course at the time and asked me to create some content to make available in her course. And I had always, for like the last, at this point in time, for like the last maybe year and a half, I had this bigger idea of how to help educate the wedding industry, because I've worked with wedding creatives for many years now in various capacities, and I wanted a way that I could help more people together, because a lot of people struggle with the same things, and I felt there has to be a way to help more people at the same time and make a bigger impact. So I had the idea of the Wedding Business Academy, and it wasn't something that I felt like I was ready to do on my own, but it was one of those things, like I sketched out the whole plan for it and I put it away knowing like that was one of my bigger dreams that I wanted to execute someday. Mm-hmm. And then when Kristin and I were talking and she asked me to be part of her course she was making, her course was kind of the direction that I had already been thinking. And I said yes to being part of her course, which doesn't exist. Don't go looking for Kristin's course right now.
No,
guys.
I never made a course.
Yeah. So just so then I really got to thinking, and I said to myself, Kristin and I could really do the Wedding Business Academy together. I have to tell her about this. Like there was just, and she could have absolutely said no, but there was this thing that came over me, and I called her and we had a Skype meeting. I was like, listen, I'm going to like propose something big to you. Let me just tell you the whole thing before you say yes or no. And I was so nervous, like sweaty palms. I was basically asking her to marry me. Like really, this was an over the phone, across the ocean Skype proposal, business proposal. So luckily she loved my idea. She immediately said yes. And from there we dove into holy business matrimony together. And here we are.
Here we are. I'm a huge Friends fan, and you two are like my Monica and Rachel.
You got told that a lot recently. We were at a conference together, and people were like, you guys like finish each other's sentences. It's a little creepy.
Yeah, right?
I absolutely love it. I love your relationship. Well, this is going to be so much fun. Thank you for sharing that story, Ginny. I know if you're listening right now and you are like, gosh, I need someone in my life. Like I need the Monica to my Rachel. I think that, the Facebook group is a great place to start. You never know who you're going to meet online who could potentially be someone. You don't have to start a business together, but if you need that business bestie like Ginny and Kristin are, I feel like that's a great place to start. You just never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah, so and I would love to just add one little thing that I just was actually talking to Kristin about today. So many times people get caught up in the comparisonitis, and they might have an idea and they're worried because they see someone else doing it. And just because someone else is doing it, that doesn't mean you can't do it too. And in our case, luckily, we decided to do it together. That doesn't mean like you have to share your ideas and ventures with people. But I could have easily looked at Kristin and she could have looked at me, and we could have seen each other as competition, since we are targeting the same market and doing education. And we could have just said, nope, like I want to do my own thing and she's my competition. But we were really drawn to each other, and our mission to help people was stronger than anything else. And that's what really bonded us. And we thought doing this together made way more sense, because at the end of the day, we want to help other small business owners in the wedding industry. And we're only one person and we can only do so much. So the fact that we've been able to partner together, we've been able to do so much more, because her strengths may be my weaknesses and vice versa. And we're able to divide and conquer so much together.
That is so well said. And you really live that. I'm living proof of that. Both of you. I am also in the wedding industry, and the podcast, I guess you could consider it like an education piece of the wedding industry, but Ginny and Kristin both kind of like swooped me up and like took me under their wing and were like, come along with us. So they really just live that out every day.
Oh, well, thank you.
your podcast is absolutely an amazing educational resource for the wedding industry. And that's why we love that you put it out there and that you're doing it, because we're like, yes, somebody else is helping to educate everyone. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so needed.
Thank you. Well, everyone's probably like, I need some education today. We have some seriously awesome questions. We gathered these from the wedding business bosses, from the gals that are in there. And what we thought would be fun, it was Ginny's idea, would be to do kind of a view style roundtable. So I am going to ask these ladies questions and they are going to answer. And you heard it here first. They are both no BS, like straight shooters. So you're going to get it exactly the way we need it. And Kristin, we're going to start with you. The first question I actually is from me. And I would like to know from your perspective and your many years of experience, how you have attracted your client, your ideal client, on a local level. And do you find, I have a hyper local venue, do you find that an online presence is like where you get the most of your inquiries, or how has face-to-face networking also been integrated into your business?
That is a great question. So at this stage, I think it all comes back to your ideal client and the market that you're specifically trying to reach. So for me personally, just as an example, my brides tend to be lawyers, doctors, education professionals. So these folks are the type that they are searching online for wedding planners. That is just a fact. Or the other alternative is they're asking their friends and family. So my biggest referral sources are Google and referrals from other past brides, etc. So therefore, I put a lot of my time and effort into those two arenas because for me and my ideal client, that's where she is looking online for a wedding planner. But that's not going to be the same for everybody. So that's where I think it always comes back to examining where is my ideal client searching for their venue or their wedding professional and making sure that you are in that place. Mm-hmm. And I do feel that online these days, you can't really beat things like Google. The first thing people do when they get engaged is they start Googling stuff. They start Googling wedding venues. They start Googling wedding planners. So I do think it is extremely important to have an online presence and making that a huge top priority no matter what. Because even at the local level, that's where people are going. However, I do think it's also super important to network with other vendors in your area. But the key here is that also have this same ideal client and the same target market as you. I think sometimes some people make mistakes in this area where they just start networking with everybody, and that's not always the most helpful place to start, because oftentimes, like, let's say, for example, you're a new photographer. So you're like, well, I want to get some great brides. Here's this really established high-end wedding planner in town. I'm going to network with her. Well, more than likely, she doesn't have the same ideal client or the same target market. So that planner is not really going to be able to send you business. So it's not going to be beneficial for everybody. So this is where I always say, go back to that ideal client. Think about what other people in my market, what other vendors might have a similar ideal client as me, and start networking with them and help pass business back and forth. Especially as a venue, planners are going to be huge for you, Kinsey, and making sure that you are highly networking with those planners because that's the first thing we tend to do is get a venue search going. And I have certainly my favorite venues that I like to work with. And same thing with photographers. They're another big one because they're at the front end of the planning process. So networking with them as well. So just get back to that ideal client, though. Make sure it's going to be mutually beneficial for everyone involved before spending a ton of time networking face-to-face with people that will never be able to send you business.
Okay. And so you mentioned that we should be which is great. We should be contacting or networking with vendors who have the same ideal client as we do. How can we find that out? How do we figure out who their ideal client is?
Good follow-up. Well, I would say start with really taking a look at their work and thinking about, for example, if you're taking the venue, and I don't know a ton about your venue so far, Kinsey, but let's say if it's a rural venue, you're going to be looking for other vendors that service, brides who like more rural outside weddings, photographers that shoot natural light. Those kinds of people are going to be people that obviously will have a similar ideal client. Same thing on the money issue. Look at people, okay, if this is the price range I'm in, we're targeting a certain level of bride. What are the other venues or other vendors that are also targeting that same, budget range for those brides? So looking at that, But just going back to people's work, it does take a lot of research for sure. But usually you start to get an idea. And I would often like read blogs of people and just see like, if you read wedding recaps, for example, with photographers, they're always posting their work on their blogs, and they usually tell a great story about the bride and groom and what they're like and what their jobs are. And you'll start to see similarities. Like if I'm reading through somebody's work in their blogs and they're constantly saying like, oh, and this bride, is a lawyer and graduated from Vanderbilt. And this groom, I'm going to start going, oh, yes, this is definitely, I have a lot of brides like that myself. These sound like my people. That would be someone I should get in touch with.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And Ginny, how does, especially all the guests on the podcast, and I think kind of just in general, our businesses are multifaceted. There's not just a wedding planner and there's not just a florist. Like Kristin has the pricing workbook, and we have multifaceted businesses. And a lot of times those additional facets are really strictly online. It's a digital product. It's a course. It's that. How can we keep our brand fluid so that we're still attracting our ideal client for each facet of our business?
That's a really great question. And I think really that's when you can utilize some of these wonderful stock photography sites, like Hot Chocolate is one of my favorites. So you can have your brand photography as far as like present, if you're a wedding planner or photographer, presenting all of the photos of your weddings, of your real couples that you're posting online. But then you don't have to have just some picture of a desk that you snapped on your iPhone. Like, take time to like style. Like Kristin has her pricing workbook. If you go and look at her feed, I know her main Instagram feed is all business, but if she were to post her pricing workbook on her stunning events feed for her wedding planning business, it would still go with the flow because she's placed it nicely in an iPad mock-up stock photography photo. So just making sure that you're kind of keeping with your same color scheme, fonts, professional style. And that's a really good way to still blend it in and reach both of your target markets, because you may have a target market that's a bride and groom, couples, and then a target market that is more industry professionals. That's an educational element.
Excellent. Awesome. Okay, this next question comes from Randy Fracassi. She is from Poppy Lane Events, and you can find her at poppylaneevents.com. And I feel like this question is great for both of you. So Kristin, why don't you go first, and then Ginny, if you would. And Randy's question is, when you first started, how did you keep from getting discouraged when you weren't booking many clients? And similarly, what can you do, or what did you do to combat discouragement and kind of just that overall feeling of failure?
All right. Well, I love this question because I know it's so hard for business owners to put yourself out there. And if you're not getting the bookings that you're hoping for, it can get really discouraging very quickly. But I think it comes back to really looking at all the pieces of the puzzle in your business and just kind of playing around with where the disconnects might be happening. So, start looking with, a clear vision at your whole process and looking at what's going wrong and where is that happening. So for example, is it an awareness issue? Nobody knows you exist. You just threw up a website and now nobody knows what you do and who you are. Then figure out, how can I market myself more to new audiences? How can I get more people to know that my business exists and know that I'm here? Is it more of an interest issue and a trust issue? So are you getting inquiries and then nobody's responding, wanting to meet with you afterward, or moving the needle forward? Then think about, okay, where's the disconnect happening in this situation? How can I get these brides to trust me more, to want to meet with me, to take that next step? Is it a sales issue? You're meeting with them, but then they're not booking afterward. Where's the disconnect happening there? Could your sales strategy need some sprucing up? I think it just always comes back to not being afraid to examine your business. And there's always a fix and there's always a workaround, but it's going to take some time to really sit down and look at where are those disconnects happening. Don't get discouraged because it's always fixable if you just figure out what might need to be tweaked.
Excellent. Don't be afraid to examine your business. That's so smart.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that you can also add to that is, even if you're having a lull in your business, that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. And I know it's really hard to say that that's a positive, but you can take that as an opportunity to dig deeper and better connect with your own business. Use this time wisely to work on something that you have been wanting to work on for a while. And this may bring you to a stage of where you're better understanding your ideal client. You can use it as a time for maybe going through your onboarding process. When you do get more clients, how can you make that onboarding process experience above and beyond anything that your competition out there is doing? And this will also inspire you to put more emphasis on educating your clients about why they should be working with you. And you can use what you're learning in that own kind of self-discovery journey to put out content on your Instagram, to put out content on your blog, to educate your clients why they should be working with you. And it's going to almost like make you fall back in love with why you're doing what you're doing. And that's going to give you that kick in the pants that you need to go out there and land those clients.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. I mean, sometimes the downtime, we say it all to people, you hear it all the time, like, I don't have any time to work on my business. I'm always just doing things. So really, it's just sometimes it can just be a change of mindset. Like, I'm having a lull, like Ginny said, and here's the 3 things I'm going to do during that lull so that I'm prepared and ready and feel great when I get busy again.
Yeah, what might be a good idea is to go ahead and get a notebook and make a list of, if I had downtime in my business, what are the things that I would love to actually be doing? And then so that way when you randomly have downtime, because you don't know when it's going to come, when you may not be as busy as you had hoped you'd be, pull out that notebook and start checking off things on that list. And that way you'll feel better than ever about your business and know that you're still moving forward regardless if you have a paying client at that moment or not.
Mm-hmm. You're still moving forward regardless. Absolutely. Well, this next question comes from Shawnee Leonard in the Facebook group, and she has a brand new business that is yet to be named, but she has a great question here. It is, how do you go about establishing a new niche in your area, or niche, however you like to say it, that is currently not there? So the niche isn't really being served. And her example was, for example, catering to a non-traditional or offbeat bride.
I think a good thing can be is you can try to connect with local vendors who maybe cater to the same clientele. If you're a planner, you can maybe look for photography sessions that have offbeat bride in the Google search engine, looking in your local, if there's a local wedding planning group or local wedding group that has all different types of vendors, florists, whoever, and seeing who they're serving and who has that interest for that certain type of bride or client or, whoever you want to work with, and connect with them. And also engaging in bridal forums or Facebook groups catered towards your niche. And bridal shows are a really great way to showcase your business. If you're starting out and you also have a new niche, like, no one knows about you, no one knows what you're doing. So going to a bridal show puts you in front of a lot of foot traffic that otherwise they don't know it exists. And if you think about some trends that have happened in the last couple of years, 7 years ago, everybody wasn't doing a first look. Nobody knew what a first look is. Why did they need this? So think about that, why it's being done, and use this again as a time to educate people, write blogs about it, put it out into the world as to why what you're offering is something that they need. Rock the dress sessions, photographers, that's a great thing that the photography industry did. That's another reason to not only hire the photographer for your wedding day, but to then have a post-wedding session with your client to wear their wedding dress again. And, all the photographers sold the brides, like, you can put your dress back on again. Like, it's a whole nother day of wearing your dress. And, of course, all the brides are like, yes, I want to wear my dress again. I mean, I personally did one. So I did too, actually. So
I did too.
You really love this stuff.
I really did it. I really did. So, but, just exploring that avenue and putting it out there and talking about it. And if you don't put it out there, then no one will know it exists.
Yep, I agree. It's all about awareness and education. You're going to have to get the word out that you are offering this new service or you're targeting a new niche and this is what you're looking for. And then you've got to educate people as to why they need what you're offering. And that's, I think, where anytime you're doing something new, I think the educating part is hard because people are immediately like, well, I don't need that. I've done just fine without that before, So educating them as to why they need it and why it's important and why they should hire you for it.
Absolutely.
But no one needed Netflix like 10 years ago. I can't live without Netflix now. So,
Exactly. I need Netflix.
Yeah.
And also, Shawnee, I mean, very simply too, if you feel overwhelmed, there is literally a website called offbeatbride.com, and they have a vendor registration list, and they list vendors from all over the country, including Canada and Ireland. I mean, simply the first step you could do is go there and search your area. You may think that the niche is not being served, but there might be. And just as Kristin was talking about earlier, is networking with vendors who have the same ideal client. If that non-traditional offbeat bride is your ideal client, see if there's any vendors in your area who are listed on offbeatbride.com. They're probably a great place to start.
Absolutely.
So next up, we have Kelly Moreno from Elegant Events by Kelly. I love this question. How can we tell clients that who inquire with us, who are not a good fit for our business without offending them?
I seriously love this question because this is hard. I mean, sometimes, yes, you have those clients and maybe you've had a meeting with them or you haven't, and you just know that, they're not the best fit, whether it be what they're looking for you can't offer, or they're they don't have the right budget for what you do. There's a ton of reasons. And honestly, I think it comes down to both Ginny and I think are all about keeping it real and being honest. So I think, yes, you do need to tell them that they are not a good fit, but you also don't need to be a jerk about it. You don't need to specifically tell them exactly why. I think it comes down to trying to be tactful and saying, thank you so much. I'm so excited that you want to work with me. However, after meeting with you or speaking with you, I just don't think this is the best fit. However, and this is the key part, you've got to send them off in a direction and help them out in some way. So don't just leave them hanging and just be like, see you later. I would definitely point them in the direction of other people that might be able to serve them better and say, here are some recommendations for you. I highly recommend checking out these folks. They will better be able to serve you so that, you're not just leaving them hanging, because that's the part that at the end of the day, they need to be served and they should be able to find what they're looking for, even if it's not with you.
Absolutely. And I think just being helpful to people, even though they may not be that they may not become your paying client, it may still result in them seeing you as a professional and referring business your way anyway. They may say, wow, I didn't ultimately go with Kristin Kaplan's wedding planning company, but at the end of the day, she really provided me some valuable help and information, and I would really recommend her. She was really professional and she provided XYZ. I think that she would make a great wedding planner for anyone.
Ginny, do you think that is it easier, or not easier, but when you have a client who comes to you and they need branding services, I know like in the wedding industry, we have kind of like client questionnaires and like pre-forms. How do you find out if a client is your ideal client from the, online business perspective?
They first fill out my contact form and then I send them a questionnaire, and I initially just ask them to tell me a little bit about who they are and where they are at in their business. Mm-hmm. Because for me, then that way it can tell me a lot about where they are in their business, what they're looking for in a brand strategist, what their budget is, of course. So that's really important to kind of gauge where someone is in their process. Maybe they've already started trying to do a brand themselves and they need some tweaking, or maybe they've had a brand for 3 to 5 years and now they're really ready to take it up a notch. And those are the people that I generally work with the most, is someone that's been in business for at least 3 years and have already had a brand, but it was never a brand that they were in love with, or they're really experiencing major growth in their business, and they want to really invest in a strategist to take their business and their brand to the next level and have a plan for that growth for the next couple of years.
Okay, that makes total sense. The next question I have is from Brandy Robinson Pert, and she asks, what are some basic marketing strategies every wedding planner should practice? And I'm going to extend this question, and so let's answer the wedding planner one first with Kristin, and then Ginny, I would love for you as the branding expert to explain some marketing strategies you see so that our brand stays cohesive throughout marketing or all platforms. Not all, but multiple platforms. So Kristin, take it away.
All right. Well, I think as far as for planners, like I said, I always come back to this, but it comes back to that ideal client and figuring out where is my ideal client looking for a wedding planner. And for most people, online is going to be a big thing. So I'll address that first. And it's going to be, whether it's Google or not, you're going to want to have strong SEO on your website. I think that's super important for everybody. And one of the ways you can do that is, first of all, having a really good quality website where whoever has created it for you understands SEO and has put the right things in place for your website to have strong SEO. And then it comes back to creating trust with your clients. And you could do that through content marketing. Specifically, I feel like we all come back to blogging and people always wonder, like, is blogging dead? I personally think blogging is still really important. It is a great way for clients to get to know you and your style. This is where I do feel like if you're going to do blogging and you're going to do content marketing strategy, you need to make sure the content you're putting out there is reflective of you. Because if you're just getting some random person to write your blog posts that are just the same regurgitated info that's on the Knot or Wedding Wire, like, that's not going to be helpful. But if you're writing blog posts or putting content out there that shows off what makes you different and what makes you unique as a wedding planner, that's going to get you much more noticed. And another big thing with wedding planners, make sure that you are showing off the type of work that you want to be doing yourself. So make sure that all of the weddings that you're blogging and the wedding recaps that you're doing and the wedding photos that you're putting on your website, all of those are very much in line with your overall brand and the type of wedding you want to do. So you have to be a bit selective about it. But one thing, for Stunning Events, my company, we are all about working with fun clients. That is a big part of our tagline is the word fun. And so there's a reason that almost every photo on the headers of my website are all brides and grooms and couples laughing, having fun, cheering, smiling. I'm projecting the type of client that I want to receive. And that was done very intentionally. We're not a wedding planning company that is about details so much. So there's not a lot of detail shots on my website because that's not the type of ideal client I'm looking for, is someone where that's a priority. So put out there into the world the type of client you want to receive.
Okay. So good.
That's
Ginny,
awesome information.
I know. I'm scribbling over here. I'm like, put out into the world what you want to receive.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, what does my header look like? Ginny, how can we make sure that we're doing that across? I mean, Kristin really just touched on specifically online, like content marketing through our blog, what her header looks like, SEO. How can we just kind of ensure that all of that information is extending out into like our social media platforms? If we're being published elsewhere online, how can we make sure that that's all cohesive?
Yeah, you should definitely make sure to focus on that keyword cohesive. Whenever you're creating graphics for your Instagram, I know everybody loves Canva. It's so useful, so helpful, but make sure that you're not just creating random quote graphics or grabbing a quote over here and doing a screen grab of a quote. Oh, that I could cringe. Like, don't do that. Of a quote and just putting it on there because, or a screenshot of a photo from the photographer's website and then putting it on your Instagram. Make sure you're actually getting the picture from the photographer with permission, of course, and, putting up the one with, web quality resolution and making sure that, when you're blogging, you have cohesive graphics. When you're Instagramming, you have cohesive graphics, making sure things are going over to your Pinterest. But I will say, I understand that when you're a small business owner, you are only one person and you're not a miracle worker, and you're in this because you want to spend time planning weddings for your clients, capturing photos for your clients, being the florist for your clients, being the cake decorator for your clients. Like, we work with so many types of talented individuals. So if I can give you one tip is If you can only be on one platform, then utilize that one platform, and it should be Instagram, and do it well. And do it well. If you don't have time to Instagram and blog and tweet and Periscope and Facebook and all the other Pinterest and all the other things, that's okay. I'm giving you permission to not be on all the things. Pick one thing. It should be Instagram as a wedding professional. Brides live on Instagram right now. Everybody I know, all the people that we work with, even my clients, Kristin's clients, are really booking through Instagram. That's how today's bride, I don't like to use the word millennial, but it is true. That's like where the millennial bride is right now. And so just keeping that cohesive, have a strategy. So if you're only on one platform, really spend time on creating that strategy. If this isn't your forte, find someone who it is. Outsource this. Get the help, because it really is that important to your business. And I think it's going to come back to you twofold, to either make time in your calendar to do it for yourself or find someone that can help you with it.
Oh, yes. I love what you just said, that you don't have to be on all the things, especially at the beginning. Like, you cannot be all things to all people. You cannot be Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter expert. You know.
Right. And when you have your Instagram strategy and it's a well-oiled thing, then you can move on and be on Pinterest and focus on that. And you kind of take it in a 3-month cycle. If in 2017 your plan is to conquer 3 social platforms, then take it one at a time and learn one thing really well before moving on to the next. Or otherwise, there's no point in you doing 3 platforms crappy or below. I don't know, I'm at a loss for words, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Ginny gets very passionate about this one.
Yeah, I get really passionate. So
stop putting bad quotes on Instagram, people.
Yeah, stop doing that. Just make sure that they're brand cohesive.
Exactly. Don't pick ugly fonts.
A lot of designers, I think people also don't know this, a lot of designers will work on retainer and create graphics for you, like Instagram, social media graphics and things like this. So, reach out, ask for designers. Hey, I'm looking for someone to create, monthly graphics for my Instagram. If you're a wedding planner, a lot of people in the wedding planning industry want to put love quotes out there, inspirational quotes and things like that, because everybody loves to be inspired. But if you don't have the time or the know-how to make them brand cohesive, there's designers that have social media graphic packs available, or again, stock photography shops. I mean, you can have as low as like $20 a month sometimes on these that really have great graphics that can go with your brand that you can be using.
Absolutely. I am, for one, on the podcast Instagram specifically, I only use stock photography. Sometimes I take my own shots, but I just decided that I don't want to have to try to be like this incredible photographer who takes amazing photos. Like, I don't have time for that. So I am like super duper on board with stock photos.
Yeah, me too.
Also, it makes me feel good to support another woman entrepreneur, like Hot Chocolate.
I know. She's the best.
Yeah.
She is.
I think she reads my mind every month.
Well, I think, so this next question is, and I hope I'm saying your name right. This next question is from Nelia Grace. She is a photographer and her business is called Nelia. And I think this is specifically for Kristin. And Nelia asks, what do you wish photographers and videographers knew? And I think she means, what do you think they knew while they're working with you and, working at the wedding in conjunction with you working at a wedding as a planner?
Oh, that is such a good question. And I could get super, super fired up about this one. I think the biggest thing, especially when it comes to working with planners, is to treat your business as a business. We understand that photographers and videographers are super creative. They spend a lot of time editing, but a lot of time shooting. However, it's still just as important to get the business side, especially the client communication side of things, under control. Because I think one of the frustrating things we have, and I guess it's not even just photographers and videographers, but sometimes with vendors as a whole, is that we will reach out, we will be trying to give somebody business, and then it takes them like 2 weeks to respond to an email. And that can be super frustrating because in wedding world, we sometimes move real fast with clients. When they're fired up and they want to book somebody, they want to book somebody. So making sure that your email communication is quick, you're only taking a day or two to respond to your emails, make sure that your workflow is quick so that you're not having to, delivering photos 6 months later after the wedding. And just I think all vendors could do well to just help each other out as much as possible. A great thing to do for photographers and videographers, keep in mind, you guys have like the one tangible thing after the wedding, the photos and the videos. So help out the other vendors by sharing those things and make it easy for them to utilize them for marketing purposes. Also, try and get features. That helps the whole team. That's something where I love it when photographers just go out and get our wedding featured, and I don't have to do a thing. It's amazing. You bet I'm going to refer that photographer again if they are, I had that happen recently, actually. There's a wedding we have featured in the Nashville Lifestyles magazine, the weddings edition that just came out, and I didn't even know about it until it got I think the photographer sent me a message and was like, hey, by the way, we have a magazine feature. I was like, yes, I love this. I didn't have to do anything for it. It's great. So help the whole team. That definitely will come back for you and make getting referrals so much easier.
Fair point. So good. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you refer that photographer again? They got you a magazine feature. That just makes sense.
Seriously. That will planners will love you if you get features. But yeah, it comes back to just run a great business. Make sure that the business side of it is truly, you're putting as much time and effort into that as you are into the creative fun stuff.
Excellent. That makes absolute sense. Well, as we wrap up here, I have 2 more questions, and these are kind of just going to end the podcast interview and kind of just wrap us up. I know we have gone through so much information, and thank you so much for being such givers with all of your advice and expertise. I would love it if each of you, and Ginny, we'll start with you, will just give one piece of tactical advice for our listeners to help move their business forward in 2017.
I am all about connection right now. Whether it's in your local market or if it's in your online market, just reaching out and saying hi to someone. One of my best friends is a wedding photographer, and she just moved from Jacksonville, Florida to Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's a new mom, and I've been helping her come up with ways to meet new wedding planners and connecting. And I've just been telling her, get on Insta stories, connect with people, see who you have common interest with, who are also in the business, and say hi and offer to have some coffee and, just really connect over commonalities. And I think that just being a person first and being a friend first really goes a long way. And I think that in the end, the whole business part will then circle back around. And I think that is something that is just really tangible advice and something that's helped me grow my business abundantly in 2016. So I would advise anyone to go out there and make a new friend, whether it's in-person networking at a local networking event in your community or getting in a local wedding planning group and just saying, hey, do you want to have coffee, or do you want to have a group of us get together for breakfast once a month? Or, be the initiator. If someone else isn't planning something, what's holding you back from planning something?
There you go. Great question. What's holding you back? Be that instigator.
Yeah.
Kristin, what about you?
So I feel like I'm going to give my piece of tactical advice, but then I feel like Ginny also has one other piece of advice that she should give, but we could get to that one in a minute because it's funnier.
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay.
I feel like you have another rant you should give, but we'll get to that one in a minute. So I guess my big piece of advice would be, especially when it comes to business, is, at some point just start. I think when you're a small business owner, you wear a million different hats, and there's often feels like there's a million things to do, and there's this level of overwhelm because you're trying to do all the things. And sometimes it just comes down to making a list and deciding, okay, I'm going to start today, whether that's, okay, I'm going to put a new Instagram strategy in place. Let me just go attack it and do it. I'm going to get a new client onboarding system in place and rewrite my inquiry response. Just sit down and start. Don't get so overwhelmed by the millions of other things that you need to do in your business. Just try to accomplish that one important thing that you want to do right now, and then move on to the next thing. Do action, implement stuff, and don't just kind of let stuff sit around while you kind of live in this place of overwhelm forever, because that never helps anybody.
Yeah, and get an accountability buddy to hold you accountable. Kristin and I actually started out originally in our group coaching program that we were in together as accountability buddies. And let me tell you, she strikes the whip on me. If I tell her I'm going to do something, she's like, "Bam,
why is that not done yet?"
That's right. You better have that done. So my other piece of tactical advice.
Yes.
Listen, everybody, I want you to take this to heart. Don't do business via text message.
Ooh.
Stop doing this. Every time I
all the time.
Really?
In these groups, yes. Every time I see people posting in groups having major client crises, it is the first thing I look for, and they'll post pictures of the communication of saying, "I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do." And it is always of them text messaging with the client.
Oh my gosh,
Why
you're
shouldn't
right.
you do business this way? Yes, if you look at it, this is the problem. It's because the client doesn't look at you like a professional. I'm not saying you can't be friends with your couples. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying is if when it comes to running a business and you want to be a business owner, you need to run it like a business, and you need to run it professionally. And that means responding via email within business hours with boundaries. So when these text messages have timestamps of 12:35 p.m. midnight, or a.m. a.m., it blows my mind that you're allowing these people to keep you up all night with these questions about the contract, or you didn't know if you had a contract, or, the shoot's tomorrow, but now they want to back out, and yada, yada, yada. And so the key is be professional, set your boundaries in business. Don't do business via text message.
For the love,
even,
stop texting your clients.
Yeah, or even Facebook Messenger. And I know a lot of people will say, but a lot of people, send me messages on Facebook for business and I can't not reply. But you can reply and just simply say, let's take this off. I conduct business via email. I would love to chat with you. Get the client's email so that way you can reach out to the client. I mean, you could give them your email too, but I like to just take the initiative right away and email them to immediately move the conversation to email. So if they're really interested, then they'll get your email and they'll respond. So I think that's just the best way. Don't do all this back and forth between Facebook messages and text messages. It makes your business really messy too. This way, all your communication is in one place in your inbox, and you don't have to worry about checking 3 different things and not knowing where all the communication's going.
Amen.
Amen. That is, I was just thinking to myself, right when you said, don't do message via text, I was like, I made Ginny proud the other day and I didn't even know it. I got an inquiry from a bride about the venue, and she was like, you can email me or you can also text me. And I was thinking to myself, I am not texting you.
No, don't text.
And now I'm so happy. I was like, oh shoot, what if she doesn't? But I kind of thought about it. I was like, what if she would rather get a text? What if she doesn't reply? Doesn't matter. Don't text. I love it.
Yeah, because really too, when you think about it, you may be newer in your business and you may not have a lot of clients, and it may be okay that you're texting 2 or 3 people. But the point of you being a business owner is you want to grow, right?
Yeah.
So when you have 20 clients at the same time, do you want 20 different people texting you all hours of the day and night asking you random questions? You need time, and then they see that you've read it but you haven't responded because you need time to actually sit and think about their question and give them an educated answer about their wedding day. And sometimes you may have to go look at a timeline or go look at an email or consult with someone else. But yet you have this anxiety of, oh, they saw that I read the text message, yet I can't actually reply for 4 more hours. And, it just makes this whole big mess.
Absolutely. So such good advice. Don't text.
Be professional.
Be professional. Yeah. We should make a shirt.
Yeah.
Don't
text your brides.
That's right.
Or your grooms.
That's right.
Don't text and drive. Don't text your bride.
That's right.
Yep. There you go.
Well, I would love for you to share with me what is on the horizon for you two and the Wedding Business Academy in 2017, as well as the Wedding Business Bosses Facebook group as we wrap up here. What are you excited about?
Ooh, I'll take this one. We are really excited because we are wrapping up our current class of the Wedding Business Academy, and then we are re-enrolling for our next session, the class of 2017, next month in February. So that's kind of the big, huge thing that Ginny and I are working on right now, is getting everything squared away for opening up enrollment again. So we can't wait to get 20 wedding professionals to join us for our 6-month group coaching program throughout 2017. And we are also, hopefully Ginny, I'm allowed to tell people this, but going to be launching a website really soon too. So we're taking the Facebook community of the Wedding Business Bosses, and we are just expanding like the resources and the education and everything else that we're going to be giving and putting out there this year into an actual website so people can find out a lot more information there. So that's coming this spring. We'll be launching the website too. Yay!
We're so excited.
Yes. Lots of stuff coming for the group. So if you're not a member of the Wedding Business Bosses on Facebook, definitely go check it out. We are all about educating you on the business side of your wedding business, and trying to help everyone just have, great, profitable, sustainable businesses that they enjoy working in.
That sounds good to me. And I know that we have mentioned the Wedding Business Academy a lot. So for those of you listening, I promise we have so much more information about that coming. On February 9th, we are doing another really, really fun interview with Ginny and Kristin. And we are talking all things Wedding Business Academy. So we're not going to leave you hanging. We know we've been kind of like teasing about it today, but February 9th, come back, join us, and you can hear all about the Wedding Business Academy. Ginny, Krauss, Kristin Kaplan, thank you so much for being here today. What a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening in today. Wasn't that just a crazy fun episode? Ginny and Kristin are seriously no holds barred. I love how honestly they answer every single question, and it was just so much fun to talk to them. So Ginny and Kristin, if you are listening, thank you so much. And just as importantly as you being on the show, I want to thank you guys again for sponsoring via the Wedding Business Academy. Friends, listeners, if you are interested in growing your business, if you find that you're kind of lacking the time to work on your business because you're just really busy working in your business, if it seems like you're really off to a great start this year, but you really want to keep that going and even elevate yourself and elevate your goals and push your goals forward, whether that be financial, whether that be community driven, whether that be more bookings, whatever it is for you, because success is relative, right? I would highly encourage you to head over to theweddingbusinessacademy.com, join their email list, and Ginny and Kristin will let you know when they open up registration for their 6-month group coaching program, which is for wedding entrepreneurs just like you and I. It is an accountability group, it is a mastermind group, it is a coaching group, and it is so much more. I have actually a very special episode coming up for you on February 9th, which is a Thursday, where Kristin and Ginny actually get down and dirty. We dig deep into what exactly the Wedding Business Academy is and what it can do for you as a wedding professional. So stick with me. Make sure to check out that episode. That's going to be Thursday, February 9th. But as always, thank you so much for choosing She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. And Ginny and Kristin, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.